Hello guys, to those tuning in, or that will be, since I will be uploading this as well onto my YouTube page afterward. My name is Bailey. I am the host of Bailey's Crochet Boutique. I am going to be starting to do live lessons for those who are absolute beginners to crochet, who've never crocheted before. This is the video for you. This is the place to come to. Every week I will be doing lessons. I'm not sure. I'm going to try to, starting next lesson, to keep it consistent to a specific time every week and day. But this was like a spur of the moment able for me to do this today, so I came on and I did it. For those of you who either always considered learning about crochet, how to do it, for those of you who used to be adamant crocheters and haven't done it in a little while, need just a beginner's refresher on things, this is definitely a very good place for you guys to start. In this first lesson here, or tutorial, whichever you'd like to call it, I will be going over very, very basic things as far as stitches, hooks, how to gauge your hooks, how to choose yarn for certain projects, everything that you guys need to learn, or should be knowing, as I'd rather say that way, about crocheting. Today I'm using scrap baby yarn that I had left over from making my son's blanket. It's Bernat baby yarn. It's not the chunky stuff, it's not the heavy stuff. It's just light worsted weight yarn. Now with worsted weight yarn such as this, that's really light, not like chunky, or it's soft, it's very soft. You'll be able to, the easiest way to go as far as gauging your hooks is to look at what the pattern on the yarn you bought calls for. And the front of the packaging of yarn, I wish I had some here for you guys to see, but I don't. I threw it all away. It usually tells you what size hooks are recommended for that specific weight yarn you're using, or that type of yarn, I should say. Of course, it's always best to go by recommended hooks on the front of your yarns that you buy, the skeins of yarn that you buy. But if you want, say, bigger stitches for a pattern that you're doing, say a blanket or something like that, you can always up the size of your hook. Or if you want smaller stitches, you can always downsize your hook. You see what I'm saying? It depends on how chunky, if you're using very chunky yarn, I wouldn't recommend a size 5mm crochet hook like I have here. I would recommend bigger. I left them all out in the garage, of course. But I have a 10mm crochet hook that is about yay thick. Obviously it's bigger than this. The hook itself is bigger, and it makes it a lot easier to crochet with the chunkier yarn. And like I said, when you look at the packaging on the skein of yarn that you purchase, which you can purchase them anywhere. Walmart usually has them for cheap. Michaels, of course, will carry them. AC Moore if you have them around. Joann's Fabrics if you have them anywhere. Any craft store around you typically will carry it. You can go on Amazon and get them. You can go anywhere online and get them. They come with free patterns. And we'll be going over next lesson how to read the abbreviations when it comes to looking at the patterns, because it can get confusing. I know I still struggle sometimes. So next week we'll go over that. I picked a light colored yarn here, and now if you're going to be following along with me to learn what you're doing, I picked a light colored, just grab your yarn, grab whatever hook that you have, if you have one. I chose a light colored yarn because it's going to be easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. I'm going to be going over very basic things with you, and that's five very basic things when it comes to crocheting. Now I went over gauging hook size with different types of yarn. Now it's time to go over the basic stitches in crocheting, and those basic stitches are the beginning slip knot, which is how you start every single crocheting project, is by starting a slip knot. And there are several different ways to tackle the slip knot, and I will show you a few of them. You can go on there's hundreds of other YouTube videos on here too that are wonderful, that will give you more of ideas of how to do slip knots. There's dozens. There's just dozens and dozens of ways on how to, what was I going to say? Of how to do a slip knot. We are also going to go over foundation chaining, single crocheting, double crocheting, half double crocheting, I will briefly go over a triple crochet, although it's not often used. It's still a good idea to have that background with it, in case you find a pattern you really want to try out that it calls for it. And I will also be going over slip stitching, which sort of sounds similar to slip knotting, but it's not, and you'll see what I mean. So let me find, let's start by going over the basics of slip knotting. Now, like I said, there are several ways. Maybe if I switch my camera. Now, there are several ways of doing a slip knot. The very first way I learned to do it was take a decent, this is for any project, you want to take, unless the video you're watching or the tutorial you're reading says otherwise, with scarves, with blankets, especially, it's always a good idea, washcloths, it's always a good idea to have a little bit of enough of a tail, about like that long, just so you're able to work it back into your finished piece when you're done crocheting the project completely. So with that being said, my very first way of learning how to slip knot was to take your pointer finger and your middle finger. You're going to hold the yarn just like this. You're going to wrap it around your fingers and hold it with your thumb. So it should look like this. Now, I'm going to remove my middle finger. See how I have it like that? I'm going to wrap it back around. So now I have kind of a loop on my finger. I'm holding both my working yarn, which is the part that's going to be worked into your piece, and then I have my tail end, both held together by my thumb against my middle finger. Back loop over the front loop, just like you see here, and you're just going to tighten it. And we have our slip knot. And what a slip knot is watch. You can actually gauge the size of it by pulling the tail end. Eventually, if you just continue to pull, it releases the knot. And it just goes right back to a piece of yarn. Let me show you that method again, and I'll show you a couple of others. So remember, take it, hold it in between your thumb, wrap it around 2 fingers, so you have it held like that. Remove your middle finger, pull the tail end tighter around that pointer finger. Take your working yarn, wrap it around the front end, so you have that. Now let go of the working yarn, so it's just like this, you see? Going to take that back loop that we first created, that back part of the loop. You're going to pull it over your pointer finger. You're going to tighten it, release, and you're ready to go. I'm going to show you a couple other methods that I've been using more recently. I feel like you guys are seeing me enough. Let's see. Let's try that. Another method that I use more frequently now than ever is I'm going to take, starting with the tail end here, make sure I have enough to work it in at the end of my project. I'm going to take it, my pointer finger, wrap the yarn around my pointer finger, just like that, you see? I'm going to take my working yarn, which is the back yarn, the one that will be actually used to work the project, and pull it over. And then hold it. And what that kind of does is it kind of creates an X on the side. Back loop over the front loop. Then we're going to take that new back loop, pull it over that new front loop, just like that. Tighten. And you're good to go. Show you that one more time. Take your tail end of your yarn, wrap it once around your pointer finger and hold it with your thumb. Wrap that working yarn around the front of it. Back loop to the front first, hold it. Take that new back loop over that new front loop, release, and pull tight. And now you have your slip knot. I'm going to show you one more method. Oh, does this. And that method is just as simple. Flip your finger upside down. Take it, wrap it around. Bring that working yarn over. You're just going to take the back loop over that front loop and pull. So basically the exact same thing as the method I showed you beforehand. But you don't have to do the whole two-step process. Just pull the back loop over the front and you're good to go. Now I've seen several people do it several different ways. Your best idea is if you find that the 3 methods I have shown you just aren't working for you, go explore other videos on YouTube. Because several people have several tutorial videos on how to just do slip knots alone. Because you need them for knitting. If you're a knitter learning how to crochet, several people who are just teaching show it whatever way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. I've shown you the slip knots. Now we're going to start with a foundation chain, or just a chain. It's called a foundation chain because this is how you start your crochet project. Is at the very beginning, if you're reading a pattern or you're watching a YouTube video for a tutorial of a pattern you want to try, it always tells you a certain amount you need to chain for that pattern, and that amount of chain number is important because that amount of chains helps gauge the width of your project to where it's supposed to be, and it helps set a foundation for your entire thing. So, I'll start with my slip knot, wrap it around my finger, working yarn over the front, back loop over the front loop, and pull tight. Take my hook. I'm going to pull my working yarn now to tighten that around my crochet hook. Like I said, I'm right now using a 5mm crochet hook. Now as far as, now you'll get faster at this too and find you're more comfortable with whatever way as you go. Traditionally though, people will just hold their yarn over their finger like this and just pull through, yarn over, pull through, and create a chain. I'll show you that again. You're going to yarn over, which means you're going to just put that yarn over that hook, kind of slightly turn it, and pull it through that loop. Now we've made 2 chains. Show you that again. Yarn over, pull it through. Yarn over, pull it through. Now you really want to try to keep your chains as even as possible when it comes to their sizes. So I always like to hold on to the tail end of my work as I'm going to pull through that chain space, because what that'll do is it allows the same amount of tension each time you pull through that space, and that tension is important. And tension is probably one of the hardest things to catch onto when you're first beginning. I know when I first started, I used to always get frustrated that my work was always squiggly lines. No matter how many rows I did, it wouldn't straighten out, whatever. And then I realized it's because I wasn't keeping even amount of tension on each stitch that I did. Now it's important to try to keep that tension as even with each other as possible, because then it shows less error in your work. It keeps that project straight. Because if you have a lot of tight stitches with a lot of loose stitches, the tighter stitches aren't gonna continue to straighten out as much as the looser stitches, because we don't have that even tension throughout. If you don't have that even tension throughout, the work just becomes a wavy mess. It's not straight. It doesn't look pretty. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to chain a few more just to show you again. Hold that tail end of your work. Yarn over. Pull through. Another chain. Yarn over. Pull through. Now if you find that you're having trouble then with yarning over because it's getting too long, inch up just about a quarter of the way on that chain and go again. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. 2 more times. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. For those of you following along, you have just created your first foundation chain. And do you see what I mean when I say that that's important to keep that chain spaces as even as possible? That helps. The feel of it's a little iffy. After you do it more often, it won't feel as weird. So now we are going to get to stitches. I can untangle my yarn now. Traditionally, when you start your projects, you normally never use this first chain right here. The first chain that's right here on your hook, this one, is never used. You always start that second chain from the hook. So that's the 1, and then this would be 2. Most patterns normally call for you. Let's flip over so you guys can see me better. Most patterns, you'll normally start off going into, where is it? Just the stitch itself. You see that V kind of shape here, that teardrop shape? Just the top part of that stitch. So you're going to just insert your hook. We're going to be learning single crochet. In single crochet, you're going to insert your hook like I just did and pull up a loop with that working yarn. What that just did was made it so that you now have 2 loops on your hook. 1, 2. Now you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. I'm going to show you that again. What happened? Wait. That was good. Insert the hook into that second chain stitch from that hook and pull up a loop. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over. and pull through both of those loops. Then you're going to go right next to that second stitch. Yarn, or insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, so you should have 2 loops on that hook, yarn over, pull through both of those loops. We're going to do it again. Insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull through, so you have 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Insert that hook, yarn over, pull up, so you have 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert into that next chain space, yarn over, pull through, so you have 2, yarn over, pull through both. Insert, yarn over, pull through, so you have 2, yarn over, pull through both. Just a few more left on my end here for this tutorial piece. Insert that hook, yarn over, pull through, so you have 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Insert into that next chain space, yarn over, you're up. Now you have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. I have that one last chain space here, and that's the one connected to your tail end, which signals when you get to this part, that signals that you're at the end of your row. Insert, yarn over, pull through, you have 2, yarn over, pull through both. After that single crochet row, this is how your work should look. You'll see kind of like mini V's almost in there. Now, single crochet is probably the hardest stitch to keep attention with. I know I still have trouble. Practice it over time. It'll come easier to you with tensions. And you'll get the feel for it. I'm actually going to show you the next chains all in the same pattern, or all in the same piece of work. So I'm going to chain 2. Remember, yarn over and just pull through that loop. Yarn over and pull through. And then you're going to turn your work this way, so that you're working from right to left. You're always working either left to right, or if you're going back from that row, right to left. Now with double crochet, it's similar, but there's an extra loop on the hook. You're going to start by yarning over, which you didn't do with a single crochet. You just inserted your hook and pulled through and made that loop. Before you insert into that stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert into this base stitch here. You see where you have the chain 2, that base stitch right there. You're going to insert it. You can either insert it into just one strain, that front strain there. You can insert it into the back strain there on the other side. I prefer to actually insert it into the entire V, so you have that V on the top, because you went on the inside the entire stitch. You're going to yarn over again, just like you did with the single crocheting, and pull up that loop. However, now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook only. So now you are left with 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Now double crochet is one of the most is probably one of the most used stitches with patterns. You're going to now again yarn over, insert into that next stitch right there, yarn over again, pull through that loop. Now you have those 3 loops back on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have 2 loops in that hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Let's do it again. Yarn over, insert into that next stitch, pull up 3 loops in the hook, yarn over, pull through. Now you have 2 loops in that hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Now what I have found when crocheting, as far as helping to keep tension on all your stitches, is once you start that stitch by yarning over, insert your hook into the next hook for me, and then pull up that loop. Now you have the 3 loops. Keep your finger on all 3 of the loops as you're doing the stitch. It feels weird at first, but it helps to keep that same tension throughout your stitch. So yarn over, pull through 2, hold, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, insert into that next stitch, pull up a loop, and now you have those 3 chains. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's repeat. Yarn over, insert into that next chain stitch, or that stitch I should say. Pull up a loop, now you have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through, now you have the 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. There's 3 stitches left on my end. Let's yarn over, pull through, bring up that loop. You have the 3. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Again. Yarn over, pull through. Now you have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now this last one's a little hard to see. You see where I have this end here just kind of hanging there with not as easy of a stitch to see? Find that V-stitch. I can see mine right here. It's kind of hard to see, but right there is my V-stitch. You're going to try to insert your hook into that stitch fully. I should probably yarn over first. What this does, yarn over, pull through. You have the 3 loops in your hook. Yarn over, pull through the 2. yarn over, pull through the 2. And see what that does by adding that last stitch into that awkward part is it helps to keep a straight line on your work, especially when you're doing like blankets or washcloths or scarves, anything that has a straight edge to any of the sides. It's important to try to keep that with it. Next, we're going to learn one that's seen more often than the second to last stitch I'm going to show you after this one. Not as often. This is going to be half double crocheting. With a half double crochet, you're going to pretty much be doing exactly like you did with the double crochet, but you're not gonna do the 2-step of pulling through 2 loops twice, and you'll see what I mean. So chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work. So you should be working right to left this time. Yarn over, insert back into that base stitch like we've been doing, of where those chain 2 spaces are. Yarn over and pull up that loop. So you should have 3 loops on your hook. All you're going to be doing is yarning over, pulling through all 3. Let me show you that again. Yarn over, insert into that next stitch there, pull up so you have the 3 stitches, the 3 loops in your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. It sort of looks like a single crochet. If you can kind of see. Let me show you a single crochet in the next stitch and I'll show you the comparison. See how it looks similar? This looks very similar to the single crochet. Here's the single crochet. Oh, this is like really blurry. And then here's the double. The only difference between the single and the double and the half double is the half double has those 2 chain loops on the top of it. It's almost like it's a stacked double crochet. The single crochet only has that 1 chain loop on the top of it. You see what I'm saying? So let's go back and finish the row off with the half doubles. Yarn over, insert into that next chain space, pull up the loop so you have the 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. Again, yarn over, insert, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through all 3. And I know this is kind of sounding a little repetitive, but especially since this is geared towards beginners. When you're confused and you have no idea what you're doing, it's nice to kind of just repeat it over and over. At least it helps me to keep remembering what I'm doing, so that I don't forget as I work my stitches and everything else. Yarn over, insert in that next stitch, pull up for the 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert, pull up 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. yarn over, insert, pull up 3, yarn over and pull through all 3. Now we're to that end again, but this time because of it, 2 more stitches left. Time for this week to learn. This is going to be the triple crochet I was telling you about that you don't really learn or use often, but it's like I said, it's a good idea to have that background knowledge of it. So this time you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work. And the reason we chain the numbers we do is because this is kind of counting as the very first stitch of your row, the chains that you start with on each row. So you want it to be the same height as the actual stitches you're going to be creating are for your row, so it looks even and it looks straight. And now we're working back right to left again, so we turned our work. Have the 3 chains. We're going to yarn over, and into that, we're going to yarn over twice. Yarn over once, yarn over twice. So it should look something like that. And we're going to insert the hook into this base, yarn over, pull up. You should have 4 loops on your hook, and that's normal. Now just like we did with the double crochet, except for we're going to do it 3 times now. So yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. That leaves you with 3 loops left in your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, yes, yes. It's gonna go